evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the East Montgomery County Improvement District's Board of Directors. Today is Thursday, March 24th. We always begin our meetings with a prayer and the pledge to both of our flags. I will ask Director Leonard Rogers to lead us in prayer and Director Isabel Rivera to lead us in the pledges. If you'll please rise. And before we do that, would you please silence your phones? Thank you.
Our dear grateful Heavenly Father, we come before you, Lord, to set you on the Lord, asking you to give each and every one of us the mercy. We ask you, Lord, if you would, to protect each and every one of us, especially the ones at the fire department, police department, and all public service, protect each and every one of them. Lord, we ask you to do the board tonight, help them make the correct decisions, the right decisions, that will be honorable to you and to the community. Lord, we pray in each God's every name. Amen.
Face the flag and join me, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the text.
Honor to Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the United States, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you.
Okay, the first thing we're going to do this evening is, when we had our Fire and Ice Festival, we had a contest for students at Porter New Caney and Splendora High School to do videography of the Fire and Ice Festival. And we had 3 winners, and we would like to present each of those winners this evening with their checks. So what we'll do is we will meet right over here, and we will present the checks each individually. We will call you out. And when we call you up, we will also announce to the audience what your amount is. Park board.
First individual was first prize was $500, and that was filmed by Kaylee Bailey. Have her come up, please. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our second prize winner is Home in Bed Sick. So anyway, we'll get with them, Neural Rafi. And I'm sorry, Cayman. Cayman didn't make it. He's at home sick. So we'll have Neural Rafi come up, please. Received a check for $250. Great job, thank you. And our third place individual, like as I mentioned, was Cayman Freeman and received $100. And we'll get with them later when we can get them out of bed.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is to consider comments from members of the audience, and I don't believe anybody has signed up to speak. Thank you. So we will move on to the next item, which is the approval of the minutes of our meetings held February the 25th, 2016, March 11, 2016, and March 21, 2016. Okay, so it'll just be for the two. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So we would just need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Director Ibarra,
Second.
and I've got a second by Director Hessen. Is there any discussion on the matter? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. The next item is to consider the financial and bookkeeping and investment reports and the payment of invoices presented. Good evening, Kate. Okay, it's on there. You should have a supplemental report for your financials. The changes were that one of your CDs matured, the one from Allegiance Bank matured, and we reinvested it. It will mature again in November. You have a total in your operating account of $8,162,943.51. Capital projects, $95,346.17. Debt service, you have $1,200,205.90, and in the debt service reserve, $555,000. In the events account, $69,170.53 for a total of all funds of $10,082,000 at $666.11. On page 4, you have your summary of your CDs. And then on page 5 is the transactions since the original report in your money market. Page 6 is your cash flow. You have a balance forward of $19,383.71. Transferred $100,000 from tech school today to cover disbursements. You have disbursements totaling $35,913.48, and that leaves $83,470.23 in the checking account. The changes to the rest of the report would just be reflected. Any of the payments that are made would be, if they were in February, they would be reflected on this budget. Everything else will be on the March report and would be reflected on that budget versus actual. The rest of the report is all the same. There was a bond payment made on February the 12th, $279,568.76. It's actually for 2 bonds. And that is all of that report. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer. Okay, if not, we would need a motion to accept.
I make a motion, we accept the bookkeeper's report as reported, as presented.
Okay, I got a motion by Director Hessen and a second by Director Pearson. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Thank you, Kay. Okay, the next item is to consider authorizing the bookkeeper to prepare the 2016 unclaimed property report and file it with the comptroller prior to July 1st, 2016. Good evening.
This is an annual requirement. We have to look back for accounts that are more than 3 years old that you've been unable to deliver. I really don't expect that you'll have any, because we exercise proper vote in the state. If you did have any funds that you're unable to deliver to the owner of those funds, then you turn them over to the state, and they can send their treasury and publish a list so that people can claim them.
So we just need a motion. Okay, we have a motion by Director Carlisle. A second by Director Cepeda. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Next item is to consider authorizing up to $15,000 to sponsor a fishing tournament and the taking of any actions required in connection therewith.
This was an item you guys had asked me to put on the agenda. We talked about it at the last board meeting, and it's on there for your all's consideration. It's related to, I guess, a tournament for $5,000 for each school that have a team in there, and so it's on there for your all's consideration.
And that's a fundraiser for them, correct, for the three schools? And, isn't that the one, that's what you brought, Leonard, wasn't it?
Yeah, what we was trying to do to make sure that, what we really want to do was give a scholarship maybe at the end of the deal. And what we really want to do was to have all of the three schools to have a fishing tournament amongst themselves. And then all the students that's in our three schools would go to the tournament free than anybody else outside of that. And also too is we're going to get with each school and their sponsor, and they will do the sponsorship of the tournament. We will not do that. So yes, we're trying to get it all in that way. And the projected date of all this should be somewhere around May the 8th, 2017.
Is this something we would want to put on this year's fiscal budget, or would we want to carry it to the 2017?
It would be on the budget for next year.
Our budget ends this June, so this will be incorporated into the budget for next year.
Should we have a motion to adopt it now to go on for next year, or should we wait and rehear this in the next fiscal year?
You can go ahead and do it. We'll just make sure we account for it when it's time to prepare the budget. So we'll make sure that it's there.
So we would just need a motion to authorize the fishing tournament? Okay. Director Rogers made the motion, and it's seconded by Director Carlisle. Is there any discussion?
Leonard, was that for all age groups?
Now it's strictly for the school sponsored kids that's in this fishing expedition at the school.
Oh, okay.
Only the one, no, not for all the schools, just for the fishing, like the fishing, I guess a fishing club for each school.
Each school has a fishing club.
Yes.
And it's for the tournament amongst the three
I
schools.
think, yeah, each school's probably got anywhere from 12 to 15 fishing teams as of right now. So it'd just be for those kids.
Teams or
Members.
So how many students are participating? 12 to 15 per team, or 12 to 15?
No, it's 2 kids per team, so you'd have about, say you had 12 teams, that'd be 24 kids. Say you had 12, that'd be 24 for about, now also too is they have other schools that will come in, but those schools will have to pay in order to participate in the tournament, but the kids of Splendor and Duquesne would not have to pay. Her kids would be sponsored for free. That's what we were trying to do, get something for our kids here.
So would the proceeds go to seed the next tournament? Would the proceeds from the other competing teams go to offset the cost besides the 15?
The way they do it now, from what I can understand, the way they do it now, that when they go to tournaments, all the schools that goes to the fishing tournaments, is that the 100% of the entry fee goes back to the students that actually does the fishing. In other words, first place, second place, I think they play all the way up through 10th place. I know I talked to Paul Fires the other day, and he is head of the Southwest Fishing, somebody knows about that. Is that what it is? Anyway, he's the head of that, and he was writing checks for about $26,000 for kids and stuff, and all the way plumb back up into, oh good Lord, up northern part of the state. So that's what that's for. But what I want to do is to have it for our local kids, and give our local kids maybe a scholarship or something. This is something that I've just talked to them about. This is something that we got a year to plan out, and we'll have a lot more information later on as we go through with it. But it's basically strictly for the Splendor, Duquesne kids that's in the fishing tournament club.
I think I'm fine as a pilot, but would like to assess after the first tournament.
Some feedback. Okay, any further discussion?
Who would carry the liability for this, for the kids and so forth? Since we're sponsoring, would we be liable?
No.
The clubs would.
The clubs?
Yes.
The club.
If there's no further discussion, all in favor of approving the tournament? Unanimous, thank you. It's great for our kids. Okay. The next item is to consider the status of the request from Montgomery County ESD Services number 7 regarding the funds and funding agreement. And I am going to present this proposal in the form of a motion. And what the board is proposing is that EMCID will make an additional grant of $300,000 per year for the years 2015 through 2018, which totals $1,200,000. The first payment, which represents the 2015 payment, will be made within 45 days of signing the agreement, and the subsequent payments will be made on December 31st of each year, 2016, 17, and 18. ESD 7 will agree to utilize the funds to upgrade the Morgan Cemetery Road Fire Station to make it ready for full-time staffing and to purchase 1/2 of the replacement air packs that are needed. And other improvements and equipment to fulfill that first $300 grant. None of the grant proceeds will be used to fund payroll, benefits, or ESD 7 operation costs. ESD 7 will immediately proceed with the improvements to the Morgan Cemetery Road Fire Station, and upon completion of the upgrades, will operate the fire station with full-time staffing. It's projected that the combined ad valorem tax revenue and sales tax revenue received by ESD 7 from development within Montgomery County Municipal Utility District number 4, which is the Grand Texas development, will exceed $300,000 by January 1, 2019. If the combined revenue received by ESD 7 from Grand Texas, calculated by adding the projected ad valorem tax revenue that will be received in 2020 to the sales tax received in 2019, does not exceed $300,000, EMCID agrees to, in good faith, consider an additional grant to ESD 7 to make up the difference between the funds received by ESD 7 and the $300,000. ESD 7 will agree that in the event of consequence of an annexation by the City of Cleveland of the Morgan Cemetery Road Fire Station, if it's acquired by Cleveland, then ESD 7 will reimburse to EMCID the sum of $56,000, which is approximately equal to the amount of the grant that ESD 7 will use to expand, making the Morgan Cemetery Road Fire Station ready for full-time staffing. So that's the motion, that's the proposal, and I am presenting that in the way of a motion for our board. So we would just need a second to approve. Okay. And a second by Director Pearson. Is there any discussion?
I actually would like to make a slight amendment to that and get the board's view on that. I would like to add one additional year to that, what we have here. So we would go to 2019.
I'll second.
And then if the funds are not there at 2020.
Well, that's what we have in here, that it will, by 2019, that they should be receiving $300,000. If I'm understanding this correctly, and if it's not, then we will do the additional grant to make sure that that $300,000 is fulfilled.
Okay.
Until they receive all of the $300,000 each year from that Grand Texas.
So you don't need a motion.
I'm sorry?
You don't need to make that motion, it's already in there.
Yeah, that's how it's in here.
That wouldn't give us, if I wanted to amend it to include that payment in 2019, we can do that, right? Let the board vote on that.
So a payment to them plus the ad valorem of $300,000 from Grand Texas? Is that what you're saying? Because we expect the revenues from Grand Texas to be at $300,000 by 2019.
Okay, if it's not.
And if it is not, then we will go back and look at an additional grant
Okay.
to make up the difference between what they actually receive from Grand Texas to make it 300,000.
Okay.
So if they only get 150,000 from Grand Texas, then we would look at giving them the additional 150,000 to make it 300,000. So they would never be without it.
Okay. So then we would go back to this original. Okay.
That's how it's in here, so that they would never be without the funds. There would not be any year that they would be without the funds.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
So it's back to the original motion, you withdraw your second?
Yeah, I'll withdraw a second. But I have we're under discussion now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask one of the, either board members or the fire chief if they understand what we're doing here and if this is something that will help them? Somebody want to be able to answer that?
That was a long motion. So as I understand it, EDC number 3, you're saying that you're referencing Grand Texas. Can you explain that portion one more time?
Yes. We expect by 2019 that the tax that you will be receiving from the Grand Texas theme parks revenues, the fire EDC 7 should be receiving 300,000. If it is not at 300,000, then we will look into funding the difference between what you actually receive from Grand Texas, so that you will not be without at least 300,000 a year.
That's
Does that
what
make
I
sense?
understood. Yeah, so.
So EMCID will fund through 2018, removing that ad valorem clause, reinstate the contract, basically. Removing the ad valorem contract funded through 2018. And in 2019, if the revenue is not there for the 300,000, then we would look at funding the difference between what you actually receive from Grand Texas and the 300,000.
Appreciate it.
Does that make sense?
Brenda, did they get a copy of this?
No, not yet, because we haven't, they'll get a copy. That's,
Sounds good to you? This is going to help you?
I can't speak for the board, so my board, but, we're just appreciative of everything that the improvement district does for us and always has stood there for us, so we appreciate that. So, we just hope they build a theme park, sure. I guess we'll see. So, anyway, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all. Thank you.
thank you. Ms. Jean?
We do appreciate, and we appreciate the workshops and everything that y'all had with us, so thank you very much.
Thank you for what y'all do. Thank you.
We want to thank y'all for being there for us too.
Absolutely. Okay, that brings us to the next item, which is the announcements. I'm so sorry. Here I am. I'm so sorry. I apologize. Are we through with the discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Now, are there any announcements? Okay, if there's none, then I'm sorry, go ahead.
Actually, April the 8th and 9th, so in another week and a half, Lone Star College Kingwood is hosting the first ever for the whole greater Houston area, a book festival. There will be about 160 different authors there, several Pulitzer Prize winners, all different kinds of topics, everything from children's to poetry to wine and beer making to you name it. They've got an author there to talk about it. And it's all on the website, so if you just Google Book Festival Kingwood, you'll see it. So it really is a community event. It's free to the community with all kinds of information. So take advantage of what's just up the road.
Thank you. Also, if you'll mark your calendars, May 7th, EMCID is hosting a shred event, so if you have old tax returns or any documents that you have you need shredded, EMCID is hosting the event. It is free to the public. It will be here at the complex in the parking lot, May 7th from 9 to 1. And before we go into executive session, we are going to bring up item number 13. We are going to consider the status of preparation of agreements for the splash pads, sites, and a preparation for the status of the lease, installation, operation, and management agreement between the City of Splendora, City of Roman Forest, and Craftsman.
So just to give you an update in regards to the project, I've talked to both mayors today. Mayor Webbs is here with us, and Liz is here with us from Roman Forest, and I got a chance to go by and visit with Chris this afternoon and visit with him. In regards to the structuring of the project, we had approved $300,000 for the project, and as y'all are aware, the recycling system came back in addition to that for another $150,000, and asking the cities to participate with us in that. Basically, the feedback, once again, I have to go to their council for approval, but the feedback from the mayors was that they would be willing to accommodate a $30,000 request for each city to contribute toward the project. It would be $5,000 a year for a 6-year period. And stretching that out, it certainly helps them in regards to their budget. And at the same time, it gives them some buy-in into the project with some of their own funds being proposed into the project. We're still funding 95% of the project, but at the same time, by them buying into the project, I think it gives them a vested interest to make sure it's taken care of and well maintained. And it's a tremendous asset for each city to have in the future for their cities and future residents. So Mayor Welch and Liz from Roman Forest, thank you all for y'all's participation in this.
Thank you.
With y'all doing it, we couldn't have done it. So it's a great partnership and teamwork in making this all fit together and bring some nice amenities to our area in the future. And then we have the individuals from Craftsman here this evening. You guys want to kind of give us an update of what our next step is, and we'll get out some shovels and maybe get you guys digging if you're ready.
He just had surgery, you can't do that.
How y'all doing this evening?
Good.
My name's, once again, is Dylan Figosa. This is Mark Sober. He's the owner of Craftsman Playground and Water Park Equipment. So now we've agreed that, well, on the proposal that you'd like for us to move forward and work with y'all on this. And so we can work with Joseph on it. If you'd like for us to do that, we'd be more willing to. And then once we come to a particular design, then we would require a purchase order with a deposit down, and then it'll take approximately, to say,
We have some things to work through on the sites for utilities, and things to work with your engineers on for where those utilities are going to come from, and how those are going to be connected, and actually siting them on each site, because right now we just have a concept on it. And we have to make sure that positions on the site and works within what your boundaries and facilities are. So we still have some details to work out with your engineering team and make sure that all comes together. And we would certainly want to review with your engineers and potentially each of the cities the filtration system and recirculation system that we have, so we know that they understand what that is and that everybody's on the same page. We know what we presented. We just want to make sure everybody knows how it performs and how it works, what to expect for maintenance and operations processing. Once we get to that finalization and contracts can be awarded, purchasing through the buy board, an order would go through the buy board and would come back to us as a form of a contract or purchase order. Ordering process and timeline to construct. Boy, getting equipment in from the factories takes about 6 to 8 weeks. But we can actually start progression of construction in the interim waiting for that equipment. So underground piping, work within the site can be worked on. So some of that just depends on when we can get to that finalized engineering process and everybody agreeing on the package. So I would say we're probably a month maybe, or possibly quicker, but 2 to 4 weeks to get through that finalization, site reviews, and some of the engineering characteristics. Then we're about 2 months of construction, so you're about 90 days out minimum, so to speak. So that's where March, right? April, May, June, probably in the July kind of midsummer timeline before construction could be completed. So some of that's going to depend on I haven't seen the site for utilities and what has to be done for some utility leaks, so some details to be worked out there too. But we certainly appreciate you allowing us to make our presentations in the past, and look forward to working with you on this. Any questions we can answer for you, any pieces of it?
Do y'all do the water recovery? Y'all do- is that part of y'all's-
This system would act, well, we had two packages. One was to run it on a city water system, and then the supplemental package was to put in a recirculation system. So it would act like a pool. But we'd be putting in an underground tank, and the water would be in the tank, and it would be circulated through the system. The children would play in the pad, it would go through a drain back to the tank, go through a filtration system, back out to be used again, so it would be in a loop. There is a makeup water line that has to go to it, so that there's always water being evaporated. Kids are taking it home with them, bringing their towels and their clothes, but, you know, they're leaving with some of it. Some of it's evaporating, some of it's just going with the wind. So there is a makeup line that is adding to it, but we're not using strictly just water. So as a pool, it has a makeup line also.
Really, I guess, what I was asking was that do y'all do, I know y'all build a pad, and y'all also build a recovery?
Yes, yes.
Filtration system, that's
The full filtration plant in the system. We've been doing this since the mid-90s, and have done 300-400 of them in the state. We have a principle in our process of filtration that is, there's a code under the state of Texas called the PIWF, Public Interactive Water Features and Functions. They have a standard that is applied across the board, and we step above that standard so that we filter 100% of the water. Some people use a system that's a small filtration pump and then a large feature pump. So you have two pumps running, and one is spraying water for the children to play in, and one is filtering water. We take a harder stance on that. We filter all of the water. So we put in a system that's twice the size, and all of the water that are going to be used is just passing through the filters, through the chlorination, and through the secondary sanitization system. So we think that we build a system better than anybody that's in the industry and the market. And the reason we do that is for one, safety of the kids. The user group that's coming up there, they don't know whether that's good water or bad water, it's spraying. The purpose of the code is because children tend to drink the water when they're in a spray environment like that. So the safety of the user group and eliminating contaminants that are there, it also helps for maintenance, I mean, for the city, when they have to maintain the valves and the electronics and the things that are there in the nozzle, because we take all of the debris out of the system before it goes back up to the pad. So some of the systems that are built today is filtration is done, but they're picking water up out of the tank and sending it back to the user group before it passes through the filtration system. So it tends to clog the nozzle, it clogs the valves, it clogs the features, and it also sends water up to the user group that hasn't been actually treated before it's used. That system does meet the code, but we don't believe it's a proper system. So we enhance it and go above that way.
So what you do is turnkey, everything will be ready to go.
Yes,
Let me ask you a
the
question.
other thing we don't have included is the utility leads coming into it, the makeup water lines, the sewer system. It does have to have a backwash line for the system to backwash the water cleaned by the filter. Makeup water line for makeup water to it. So we don't have that in our package that's submitted. We don't have anything included for that. So utilities are to be brought to the site.
Is the filtration system the same regardless of what pieces go on the pad itself?
No, that depends on the size of the pad and the amount of water being distributed.
Okay.
So the code calls for the water to be filtered once an hour. So that if the total quantity of water passing through the system, within the system, has to be filtered once per hour of the state code. We actually build a system that's filtered in anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes normally. So we're at twice the rate of filtration. But if we only had 100 gallons a minute going to it, it would be a much smaller system. If it's 300 gallons, we're going to increase the size of the pumps and the size of the filters.
The reason I was asking is if we know the size area that we intend to make the splash pad itself, but we're unsure of what pieces we want to go on there, but we know the size that we're going to have, could you put the filtration system in until the board decides on each piece that's going in? Or do you need to wait
We would
until?
almost have to design it ahead of time.
Okay.
Each bigger piece, and then
Well, each piece takes a different quantity.
I got it, okay.
So one feature is only spraying 10 gallons a minute, another feature is doing 50.
Gotcha.
So depending on what the features are. Now, we can oversize it and then not use as much, build a little infrastructure there that you're not totally using. We do have an option that we can, if it becomes a budget constraint in the very end, we have some ways, and we included all of the features in the package. So what we submitted was all of the top features and all of the actual play environment. We can take out top features that are mounted above grade, and we can put ground jets on top, so they can spray water, and you would come back at a later date and add the structure. So that's a possibility. But we're building it for the structure that's designed there. So if it's a umbrella or it's a flower that spurts water, we can take the flower off and we can put on a ground spray and allow a geyser to come up. There's something to play with there, but then we come back and take that cover plate off and we stand that for feature on top. So we can accommodate some budget constraints with that, but we're actually designing for the end usage.
Thank you.
Can I help?
Yes, that answers my question.
Any others?
Anybody else?
Mine's kind of along the same lines. If you wanted to make it bigger at one point, several years down the line, how hard is that to do?
I think what y'all are talking about is that slide. They've always wanted to slide. They want to have it in the future day. So you can size the filtration to match the slide that they wanted, and then come back and add it.
We could do that. We could also put a bigger concern than the filters in the is the amount of quantity. So if you go to a pool, you've got 100,000, 200,000 gallons of water. We're dealing with 2,000 to 4,000 gallons. Some slide, depending on what you're talking about, the slide can take very high volume quantity of water. So we may have to be increasing the tank holding capacity. So in that case, if it was mainly just for slide, I might say, rather than trying to build an adequate for it now, we could build a supplemental and put in a separated tank and a separate pump to facilitate that. We also have some smaller slides. So we want to talk about the kind of slide that you're wanting to do. And we also want to talk about some safety elements about elevated slides. Because once we take the children off the ground and put them in an elevated stance, we have to get into some cushion fall materials and so forth on the ground. So there's some safety relevance that we want to talk with you about.
I'm a pretty big guy, so I need a big slide.
Well, it's the falling off the slide that we get concerned about.
It was an earthquake, man.
And slides generally tend to go into pools, not slide parks, but we're dealing in concrete, not water. So we have done some for the cities that have some shallow depth pools, but you have to start manning them different with lifeguarding and things that way. So that would just be a little bit different conversation. So to answer your question, yes, we could, but you'd be filtering a lot of water that really wouldn't necessarily be needed. We could put a larger tank in today, I'm just brainstorming here. We could put a larger holding capacity tank in, but we can also come put a secondary tank in and tie the two together.
Right.
So we can kind of make it a joint tank. So there's ways to engineer that.
You can do that.
Okay, that's a simple answer.
It's possible, everything's possible.
The perimeter area, I think this is what we're going to build. Does this have like a rise on it to keep the water from going out, or is it just?
It all slopes to a drain and it's all built to be an ADA.
In other words, it's just high up here and it slopes down
Yes.
to drain. You got more than one drain, you got
Yes,
several.
multiple drains. Multiple drains. The reason we do that is to be able to keep the slope adequate, yet minimal enough that we can meet all the ADA standards, to be no more than 2% slope in any direction toward the drain, so you can go any direction within the pad and be ADA acceptable. And also to prevent anybody from being able to block a singular drain, or you get kids putting it over it, closed plastic bags sitting on it, and you block it. And when you do that, you block it, but it'll go over and it'll go to another drain. So you really can't ever shut the whole system down.
Okay, one other thing, is this handicap accessible? Can the handicap use?
Sure, totally. Handicap and elevation.
So it could be for anybody that wants to get in.
Old
When you
time.
get into Clint Stevens, you have Clint Walton.
When you get into the handicaps, you start getting into some issues about usability with wheelchairs that they, or for wheelchairs, I know there's a lot of different kinds of disabilities, right? So a child may just have a walker, or they may just have a heart condition, or they may be blind. So there's a lot of disabilities. So if you start taking a wheelchair into it and you're chlorinating the chemicals in there, you have to be careful about what the child's bringing out there because it is a water environment. But that's really the parents' supervision. I'm assuming these are not going to be attended by anybody overseeing it. I don't know that for a fact. So most of the fields are open to the public and they don't have a person there overseeing and supervising.
Yes, Board.
If we're talking about a 5,000 square foot splash pad, would the apron around that thing be included in that?
We allow a 5-foot zone from any of the features for the anticipated spray area. So if it's going to spray 6 feet, we allow a 5-foot additional zone for the water capture area, which does give some area to get around the other side of the pad as well. But it's a collection method in our attempt to keep the water from blowing. So if we're guys in the water and there's a 25 mile an hour wind, some of that's going to blow away anyway. But we try to capture with that 5-foot overspray zone. We do not have included in it any type of an observation plaza or a sitting area or a canopy or picnic tables. Those things were not included in our package, it's strictly the pad.
Yeah, I think those we anticipating outside of the
Yeah,
pad itself.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Anybody else have questions?
I do have one. What if, at nighttime or during the winter time, some kids somehow get in there, how durable? I mean, I guess the equipment's really durable.
The equipment is stainless steel.
Okay.
Well, the dominance of it, some of it is a high impact urethane coated material. We put it in public parks all the time. It's not made out of plastic and PVC, and it does have a shutdown mechanism, so it has timers on it. That'll shut the water down on a clock basis of whatever the cities decide that they want to run it from 9 in the morning till 6 at night, or they want to run it from 2 to 7. And all of that is time driven and a time clock within it. And it has an activator. It's not running and operating until somebody comes up and touches an activator, which then turns the features on so that it sprays water. So it sits, so to speak, dormant like a regular traditional playground would be. It's just the features are there, but there's no water supporting. It is circulating and maintaining the water quality within the tank and tube. But as soon as you push a button or touch an activator, valves open up and the water starts to spray. And then it turns off after a few minutes and it goes back dormant until the kids touch it again. So if they leave the park and there's nobody there, then the system's not operating. And if they come at 7 in the morning, it doesn't turn on because the clock breaks.
Anybody else?
It only takes 422 gallons of water to operate this entire park.
We go to as low as 100, and you'd be amazed how thrilling it is for just 100.
I think we have per minute going through.
We did have a misprint on one of the plans. It was original, it was supposed to be 332, and it was printed at 422. So one of the plans did have an error.
That way you got no leak.
So we have, I think we put in 400 gallons in that filtration system. So that we're just slightly above where the projection was at 350 or 340.
Now that's what's using as it's circulating.
Yes, sir.
Not what it's adding.
And you won't have all full, that's full everything on. And normally we're only running at 60% of the features activated in any given time. So it's changing and evolving from one feature to another. So this is going off and that's turning on, and this is turning on, and that's turning on. And the kids are rotating around with the play environment. So normally we're not running all features all on. It's usually at about a 60% projected value.
You got a timer set up where they go through a timing system?
Actually, it's in a controller inside of an electronic control box that's back in the control room in the control system. And there's a wireless signal that comes from the tablet with a radio signal back to that controller. That sends electronic signals to valves, which turn on and off in program sequence. And we can program it, or we can teach the city to program it. You can rearrange the patterns. You can run even actually in a random pattern where we don't even program it. the computer itself, so that the controller actually just starts turning on different things at different times, and the kids never learn to sequence. So there's multiple ways to run the controller.
There's three different proposals for Smithwater, and I think Smithwater is the first one you want to do. And I don't know if y'all selected one. We're gonna need to know which one to give. They don't do purchase orders. We'll have to give you a sign.
Contract.
Yeah, contract. We'll send that to the buy board, yeah, they'll contact them, they'll set up, and then go from there.
Or we could do a workshop if you wanted to have discussions with anybody that wanted to have, with yourselves or the city, to sit down and talk about plans and which one to select on or make any changes. Because ours were just conceptual, so we thought was a good idea, but if there's any changes anybody wanted to make, we can certainly make them and alter any of those features. So if you want to have something, a workshop or an afternoon, go drive, come out and sit down with you and go through something.
Do y'all have any these splash pads under construction in our area right now? Or what were they closest
Well,
one?
let's see.
I got one in the report.
We have one.
Pierce County. it's
Spring.
We have one at Zuby Park that is just finishing, which is out towards Town Mall. We have one in Mount Bellevue that we're under construction on. We're starting one in Madisonville, we're starting one in Mount Pleasant.
We just finished doing the report.
Just finished doing the port.
Well, I was trying to be posted because that way we can actually go by and see maybe what y'all doing. The port's
Well, so let me get you a couple addresses, or we'll get you some addresses, and you can pick a few
I'm
different
sure
ones.
the city may want, they may want to go look and see.
Or if you want to see one finished and one under construction,
Yeah.
we'll get some. Zuby Park is pretty done. We'd want to get you one on a filtration packet too, because Zuby Park doesn't have filtration, so that's not gonna, you won't be able to see the filter pack and stuff. But Mount Bellevue, what's that kind? Just let us do some research, figure out which one would be best
That'd be
for
good.
us to see.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, we can do it next week.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank y'all very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, I guess we did announcements. Okay, then we are going to recess to executive session to discuss real property matters pursuant to section 551.072 Texas Government Code, pending or contemplated litigation pursuant to section 551.071 Texas Government Code, matters in which the duty of the attorney to the district under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with chapter 551 Texas Government Code pursuant to section 551.071 Texas Government Code and economic development negotiations pursuant to section 551.087 Texas Government Code. And we are in recess at 7:22. Thank you all for coming out this evening. Thank you. Okay. We are back, minus Martin, 8:24. And the next item is to, regarding the development agreement with Sid Riley.
We should have a workshop here in the next couple of weeks to look at his project and make some modifications to his agreement. I think we're about finished on the modifications and should be able to get that wrapped up in the next meeting.
Okay. The next item is the status of the district's 12.85 acre site.
And nothing to report there. Continuing on ongoing litigation with TxDOT, and do have a court date set up in May, and I'm just kind of proceeding with that for now.
Have we got any idea who the commissioner is going to be for the hearing yet?
No, we've already been through the commissioner hearing, Isidore, and at this point, we're going back to Montgomery County Court to have the judge settle on the case.
Okay.
Judge Claudia Laird's court, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item is regarding the industrial park, and Joe, you will have items A through H.
First item is the sale of the dirt. We did get one call during the month from a guy that's building the presidential billiard site, wants to buy some dirt. So we're trying to work a deal out with him. It's not going to be that much, but at least it's something to get you some money in. The construction of the roads, waiting on the ditch. The ditch isn't on here, but the ditch is going well. They're out there. I don't know if anybody's been out there and looked around, but it's going really well. They're pretty much going and going. The plan specifications for section 4, they were submitted to TCEQ. The water was today, as a matter of fact. There is no drainage since we put the big ditch in. The road and the rest of it will be submitted to the county probably the end of the week, or I'm sorry, nobody's working tomorrow, probably be Monday or Tuesday. The plant, that's kind of been a moving target because of people come in and want to change up something, so we've got it done, we're set. As long as somebody else doesn't want to change all the time, which happens with great regularity out there. But I think we're pretty well fixed now. So we'll probably go ahead and get that finalized and sent. I mean, it's final. We've drawn it up to submit it to the county, and what's left, we'll probably call it unrestricted reserves and then divide it up by meets and bounds when people want to come in. The water distribution and wastewater collection, got to wait on the ditch. The national sign, I guess everybody's seen the sign, finally got it up in place. The electrical is probably 80%. We've set a pole, we've got to get energy out there to give us electricity. There's 2 cans to pour, and we can get the lights up. I've given the layout to a landscaper. It's supposed to be submitting me a proposal probably early next week, and you know, to get it pretty. And I'll go over it with you when we get it, and we'll get it done. I think the sign turned out well. Everybody can see it from the road. Now we can, if everybody likes that one, we'll proceed to the next one, and I'll talk to National. They're on the buy board, get a price from them to put that one up.
So Joe, you think we'll have that one like by the next board meeting?
The next sign up?
No, the proposal. Sign up is even better, but you know, just timing wise.
Yeah, I mean, I can get a proposal. We've got to hear back about putting it in that floodway. And that's the only thing that's going to hold us up. Put 2 posts in there. But okay. As far as a proposal, I can call National and I'm sure get one. Because we've got it laid out. I was just waiting. Everybody like this sign, we're going to go with it. It'll be up on 2 pilots, remember, because it's in a floodway. It'll look the same. It'll be a little bit smaller, and it'll be off in those woods a little bit, and we'll have it cleared around so you can see the sign going either way down 484. Not 484.
1485.
1485. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So we'll get you a proposal for next meeting. I think that's it.
Anybody have anything for Joe? Thank you so much. Okay, Frank, I guess you're I through O.
Nothing on IJKL. Just to update you on item M with E-Controls. We should be closing on their property on the 4th of April, Monday, and from there, then they should start working with contractors on going under construction. So just so you're aware, they'll be closing in 2 weeks. And nothing on item N. on item O, Janista Holdings, that is Polar Rig, you might be familiar with their name. So they should be closing in a couple of weeks as well. So just so you know, there's two projects getting ready to close here in the next couple of weeks, and should start seeing some construction in the industrial park beyond what's going on now.
The next item is to consider the annual review and adoption of the resolution adopting prevailing wage rate scale for construction projects. I think that's for you, Mr. Bailey.
It is. This is probably one of the most exciting things that I have to bring to you. You are required annually as a governmental entity to adopt what's called a prevailing wage scale. And this is used by Joe and Frank, if he had cause to put out a contract for services. It sets minimum hourly wages for a laundry list of employees. I'm told by most engineers, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but that the actual wage scales paid by contractors is significantly above what the minimum number is. At any rate, we need to adopt it so that they can, so that Joe can use it as bid documents for the next contracts. I believe we used Montgomery County, and so we prepared the resolution. If anybody wants to read through the wage scales, I'll be happy to give it to you.
You got one of that? You got an extra one of those?
I'll make that motion. I remember reviewing that last year.
Yes, I do. So, thank you. We have a motion by Director Pearson. We need a second.
Second.
Thank you, Director Henson. Second. Any discussion on it? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. The next item is to consider the status of economic development projects, A through D. You want
Items, nothing on A. Item B, drove by the property yesterday. They're very close to being open. They've got the roll-up kind of garage door with the windows closed, but at least they're in the process of securing their property. So I think they're close to being open probably within 30 days. Getting their product in there. Yeah, and it does look nice, from the curb, good curb appeal. So that's off of Splendor 29 Property LLC. Item C, we're working through some issues with Montgomery County on plating for the Randall Reed project for the Loop Center. And so we're trying to get some plating issues resolved with Montgomery County. And then Pollo Loco, I think the last we heard is they'll be open in 60 days.
It said no later than June 1st.
Okay, so about 60 days. So that's where they are on Pollo Loco. If you notice, they've got it in the drive and the walls are up, it's painted, and now it's just getting all the fixtures and everything else inside, and catching the chickens, of course, to start cooking them. So,
Crazy chickens.
so that's where we are on this project. So.
The other one that the boys took the call.
Yes.
They don't seem to be doing very much business. Am I wrong? I mean, when I'm driven by, I don't see any cars.
They've been busy every time I've been there.
When I've been there, they've been pretty busy.
Yeah.
Have they? They've been there 4 times.
Yeah, it's good.
4 times a week? All right.
We tell you all the trend.
I like the pineapple sauce.
Okay.
Every time you eat there, they give you a receipt for a free meal. Buy one, get one free if you take that survey. So you can eat for like $9, you and your spouse.
Are you saying you're cheap, babe?
I do have one more left in college, so. That's just a little tidbit.
Good to know.
Thank you. The last item is to consider items for possible placement on future agendas.
One of the things we talked about last time we were together was doing a quick workshop next Thursday at 12 o'clock. Once again, have a little sensitivity training, and then we have a few items to go through real quick next week. So Thursday at 12 o'clock, I just wanted to make sure that worked for everyone. And I think most of you said okay. Is that good? So just real quick, and probably no longer than an hour, trying to get through some things real quick. So
What time again?
12 o'clock, I know.
It's also the same day that Patty Village Water Plant ran. Just FYI.
Oh, theirs is at?
At 2.
Or 2.
Oh, yeah.
Yours is at 2.
That'll make us be done in an hour.
Yeah.
So we'll be 12 o'clock.
Meet at noon.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
I'll tell you a couple of things coming up just for planning purposes. There's so much stuff going on. I just want to go ahead and give you these dates so you can write them down, be thinking about them on your calendar. The Lone Star College Foundation Dinner is coming up on April the 16th. I'll send you an email too, so if you don't want to write them down, just want to make you aware. May the 18th is Leadership Montgomery County graduation. We have one graduate on the board.
Yeah.
I don't know who it might be, someone down there. But typically, we'll take a group, maybe get a table or something for the graduation and go through that. So just to let you know, May the 18th. April 18th, I'm going to give you a flyer here. I'm actually going to be out of town, but it would be good if we had some board representation. The VFW wants to present us with a certificate for helping them with the parking lot. So they've asked if we'd have some board members there just to receive that, and just a little thank you from them on helping them with the parking lot. So that's an event they got going on with the VFW. And then the last thing is on April the 13th, we've been working with the Long family. I don't know if you know who they are, but it's not the Short family. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. The Long family has been in the community a long time. But you may know them as Pat's Donuts. So, Pat's Donuts, I don't know who hadn't eaten a Pat's Donut or a kolache or something, but great family, and they are very well respected family from Cambodia. And we're going to have some guests from the Cambodian government here, and they're here to meet with and look about interacting businesses between Cambodia and Houston. They're going to be in Houston, and then one evening they're going to be at the Long's house in Kingwood. And then next morning, we're going to host them here in the building. That'll be on April the 13th. So, sorry? Right now it's the 13th. So,
You're going to email all this, right?
and I'll email it to you. So, in any event, that morning, basically just some light hors d'oeuvres and snacks. They want to say hello to our community. And they will have probably about 30 people from the delegation. Everywhere from the Assistant Minister of National Defense for the country to small business owners from their country that will be here. So they're over here to gather information about the United States and interacting and doing business between us and their country. So just want to let you know about that morning and make sure that we have the opportunity to visit with them while they're here. One other thing, I was at a reception a couple of nights ago with the Dean of the U of H Law School, and he is asked to come up and speak to our community to start building some interaction between our area and U of H Law School. He's appointed Dean about a year ago, and has taken a very proactive role in coming out to communities and trying to build some bridges between U of H and the outlying communities. So we'll probably look at doing a reception for him in the next 60 days coming out and introducing him to our community, because U of H Law School has never been to our community that I'm aware of. And they have students that come out and do internships. They have students that come out and do community service projects. So interfacing with them is a good thing down the road. So just to let you know, we're going to plan on doing a reception for the Dean of the U of H Law School in the next probably 60 days. He was very interested in coming out. So, and that's what I got. So thank you.
We forgot that.
Cool.
Oh, I'm sorry. And this is if you heard of Project Safe Child, Wisdom, what's his first name? Kenneth Wisdom, yeah. He's everywhere, you can't miss him. So they're doing the Project Safe Child at Cole's Smokehouse on March the 26th. We'll scan this in and send this out to you guys so you know what's going on there. Several bands going to be there, and a raffle event for raising funds for their organization. So I'll get that scanned in and sent out to you as well. Okay.
And what they do is pictures and fingerprints of children for free, because they're a nonprofit, and so that's a good thing. Anything else? We're adjourned, 8:40 p.m. Everybody be careful going out. Happy Easter.